Hey, what's up, gentlemen? Chris here with Elite Level Leader, and welcome to the Battleground. In today's workout, I've got a back workout for you, and how it's going to work is we're going to be doing 6 different exercises today. Within each of those 6 exercises, we're going to perform 4 sets of each of those exercises for a total of 12 to 15 reps within each set. Now, as far as the weight that you choose on these, I want you to choose a weight that's going to be challenging, but I want you to kind of get into that position of 12 to 15 reps without going to failure. What I want you to kind of gauge for or go for is to make sure you land in that 12 to 15 reps. Once your form and technique starts to break down, that is when you go ahead and stop, not necessarily failure. But like I said, I still want the weight to be challenging for you. So the first movement today is going to be dumbbell pullovers, and you're going to need a bench, a flat position, and you're going to need 1 dumbbell. So go ahead, I've got my bench already set up. I'm going to grab a single dumbbell. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to set this dumbbell here. We're going to rest the upper part of our back, the back of our shoulders, across the top of this bench. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our feet out in a 90-degree angle, and we're basically going to have the dumbbell in our hands, and we're going to go up over the top of our heads as we're laying back, and then come all the way up until that dumbbell is up over our chest. This is really going to work those lats. So I'm going to go ahead, grab this dumbbell, place the upper part of my back of my shoulders on this bench from here, get my legs in a nice 90-degree angle, about squat width apart there, so nice firm foundation stance. Grab this dumbbell, press it up overhead. Now you see that dumbbell is in a nice vertical position here. It's not kicked back like this or underneath. It's straight up and down. From here, everything is stacked, my wrists, my elbows, and my shoulders. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to raise that dumbbell back up over the top of my head, still keeping in that vertical position. Once I get down to parallel to the ground, I am then gonna reverse that and come all the way back up till that dumbbell is right over the top of my chest. So all the way down, squeeze those lats, bring it all the way up. Really engage the core here too. You're gonna get a little bit of an ab exercise in here. Come all the way up. And like I said, we're gonna end up doing 12 to 15 reps of this dumbbell pullover. Once that's complete, you're gonna set that dumbbell down, and you're gonna go ahead and rest for 1 minute. You're gonna rest for 1 minute in between all of these different sets. And like I said, you're gonna complete a total of 4 sets today. Once you're done with those dumbbell pullovers, now we're gonna move into single arm dumbbell bent over rows. So once again, I've got the bench here in this flat position. I'm gonna grab this dumbbell, set it down here on the ground. What we wanna do is, depending on the height of your bench, you might wanna place one hand on here, or if it's a little bit higher, you can go down here and place an elbow on here and bent over a little bit more than you would typically if the bench was a little bit lower. You're gonna have 1 foot right here in front, slight bend in that knee, 1 foot back, slight bend in that knee. Wanna keep a nice flat back here. We're gonna bend down, we're gonna grab this dumbbell. From this position, I'm gonna have 1 hand up here on this bench. I'm gonna grab this dumbbell, lift it off the ground, engage that shoulder, engage that lat. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull that dumbbell back towards my hip, engage that lat, squeeze, pause, come all the way down. Slow and controlled on that decline there. Come all the way up, squeeze, and nice and slow and controlled all the way down. Doesn't necessarily have to be a negative, but I just don't want you dropping that dumbbell. Squeeze it up at the top, slow and controlled all the way down. We're gonna do a set of 12 to 15. Make sure you're pulling that dumbbell back towards the hip and keeping that elbow in close to your sides. We don't want to see that elbow flailing out. Once you've completed 12 to 15 on the left arm or the right arm, depending on which you start with, then you're going to switch off and do 12 to 15 on the other arm. Then you're going to go ahead and rest for that 1 minute, and you're going to complete a total of 4 sets today. Once you've completed that, we're moving on to the next exercise, which is going to be dumbbell seated flies. So what we're going to need to do is set the 1 dumbbell away. We're gonna lighten up the load a little bit here. We're gonna need 2 dumbbells. First off, we're gonna go ahead and have to put this dumbbell up at an incline. So I'm gonna go up at a little bit of an incline, or this bench at an incline here. Now from here, these are going to be flies. So I'm gonna go down a little bit more here. What you wanna make sure you're doing here on these dumbbell flies is you're gonna place your chest at the top of the bench here, and we're gonna have the dumbbells in our hands, and we're gonna bring those elbows back. But I wanna make sure you're keeping the elbows back and low right around your lats. I don't want you coming up like this, because that turns it into a shoulder movement, and we're doing shoulders later on in the week. So we're gonna come back, keeping those elbows really tight and bringing them down and low and together across your back. So we're gonna go back here. I'm gonna grab 2 dumbbells, relatively light on these guys. Get into position here, place the top of my chest against the top of this bench here. Dumbbells are hanging down by my sides, palms are facing each other, feet are on the ground. Remember, we're gonna have a slight bend in those elbows, and the elbows are gonna try to come together across my back and keep them down in low, squeeze, and then slow and controlled, just like every other movement, slow and controlled, back down there. Come up, squeeze, all the way down, and we do a set of 12 to 15 of these flies. Once you've completed 12 to 15 of those, you're gonna go ahead and rest for 1 minute. And like I always said, we're gonna do a set of 4 of those today. Once you've completed those dumbbell seated flies, we're gonna go into incline bench dumbbell rows. So now what we're gonna do is we have this bench at this incline, and we're gonna go ahead and do rows at these at the same time. So you might wanna heavy up a little bit more since we're not doing the flies anymore. Let me set those off to the side here. Grab 2 different dumbbells, a little bit heavier than we were doing before. Now from this position, once again, we're gonna keep those elbows in close to our sides. We're gonna place our chest on the bench. Now from here, we're gonna go ahead, keeping those elbows close to our sides, keeping those elbows low. We're gonna come up and row, squeeze the top, and then all the way down. All the way up, squeezing, all the way down, nice and slow and controlled. And we're gonna do a set of 12 to 15 reps of those. Set those down. Once the 12 to 15 reps are done, you're going to go ahead and rest for that 1 minute, and then you're going to complete a total of 4 sets of that today. Then we're going to go into a next movement, which is going to be dumbbell deadlifts. So we're going to need quite a bit heavier dumbbells on this. You can go pretty heavy on these. We're still doing the 12 to 15. So I'm going to go back here, grab 2 different dumbbells. Make sure all your equipment is out of the way, guys. Make sure you have to move your bench, get everything out of the way. Now, what I want to talk about on these dumbbell deadlifts is we're going to start off the dumbbell deadlifts. It's basically a leg movement, but at the top is where it turns into that back movement. So we're going to get into position here. Dumbbells are going to be on the ground. From this position, they're gonna be on the sides of your feet. So right here, I've got them at the sides of my feet. My feet are about hip width apart here, guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hinge at the hips, start to bend in the knees, keeping that chest up the entire time. As we are going down here, guys, we're sitting back in that squat, sitting back in those hips. We're really engaging our glutes and our hamstrings. From here, we're gonna grab those dumbbells. From now, we're gonna pull those off of the ground, but we're really using our legs, our quads, our glutes, our hamstrings to press them up. Now, once the hips start to open up and the knees start to go back, this is where you roll those shoulders back and it really becomes a back exercise. What I see a lot of people doing on dumbbell deadlifts is they turn it into too much of a back exercise, and they turn it into a back exercise in the bad part of a back exercise. What I see them doing is just hinging at the waist and doing deadlifts like this. That's not what you want to do. You want to use the power and strength of your lower body to be able to get those dumbbells off the ground, and then you roll those shoulders back. That is when you start to engage the back and the lats. So like I said, feet are about hip width apart here, guys. Chest up. I'm going to start to bend in the knees. Knees are tracking out over those toes, sitting back in that squat, coming down here, grabbing these dumbbells. From here, I'm pressing through the floor, legs, quads, glutes, knees go back, hips open up. Now I roll those shoulders back. Now it becomes that back exercise. Now we reverse that. So once again, start to roll those shoulders a little bit forward as I'm sending those hips back. Knees are bending all the way down. Come up, squeeze at the top, all the way down. Up, squeeze at the top, keep it a nice flat back, head and neck, a neutral spine. We're gonna do a set of 12 to 15 of those. Then you're gonna rest for 1 minute and do 3 more sets of that for a total of 4 sets. After you've completed those, now we're going into the final movement today, which is going to be just pull-ups. So a couple different options, a couple different ways you can go ahead and do this. Make sure all your weight is out of the way. I'll also move this bench so you can kind of see where I'm going back here. My pull-up bar is mounted right here against the back of this wall. You might have a pull-up bar that's mounted in the wall. You might have one of those ones that's in your doorway. If you don't have a pull-up bar, or you're unable to do unassisted pull-ups, I've got a couple of modifications for you. But first off, let's go over the standard movement here. So palms facing forward, hands a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. You're gonna go ahead, jump up on this bar, pull your chin up over the bar, and then all the way down. All the way over, all the way down. Now, we're gonna do 12 to 15 reps of these. So you're probably not gonna be able to do all those sets without stopping. So you feel free to kind of take a break in there. However, I also am aware that 12 to 15 pull-ups is quite a lot. Plus, since we're doing 4 sets of those. So if you need to decrease the amount of those, go ahead and do that. And then, however, if you are unable to do unassisted pull-ups, a couple different modifications here. First off, you can take a bench in a flat position or a box, place it here underneath your bar, your pull-up bar, place 1 foot on that bar, and use that 1 foot to kind of press off of that bench or that box, so it gives you a little bit of assistance as you're coming up. Another thing you can do is if you have a band, you can throw a band around the top of that bar, place 1 foot in that band, and that band is going to give you assistance as well. Another option you have is to get a band that has handles on it. So this band has handles on it. What we're gonna do, throw this band up over that bar and basically mimic that pull-up movement. So go ahead, throw one end up over the top of your bar. Even if you don't have a bar, you can actually put this in a doorway around the hinge and then sit down on the ground. What you can do here, depending on the height of your bar, you might have to get down into a kneeling position, or in my position here, I have to sit down on the ground. But we're doing the same movement we were doing before. So palms are facing forward, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. You're pulling down until your hands go down below chin level, all the way up, all the way down, really engaging those lats, that back, pausing at the bottom here, and then slow and controlled coming all the way up. Now, these are significantly easier to do, depending on the strength of the band that you're using, than standard pull-ups. So instead of doing 12 to 15, I recommend maybe doubling that. So do 24 to 30 of those banded, just to make sure you're getting enough out of that workout. But as always, we're gonna rest for 1 minute in between each set, and we're gonna do a total of 12 to 15 reps for a set of 4, or 12 to 15 reps for a total of 4 sets. After you completed that, that completes the workout of the day, guys. All right, guys, that is your workout of the day. I'll see you right back here in the battleground for your next workout. And as always, make sure you check out EliteLevelLeader.com for more training programs and to enlist today.